Welcome back, everybody. Helping Paws, an organization near and dear to late State Representative Melissa Hortman, is honoring the family's legacy. Their new Hortman Heroes Fund will focus on providing more service dogs in our community. Gordon Severson has more on that. Good boy.
At Helping Paws in Eden Prairie, training service dogs is what they do.
That's it.
But when the spotlight came their way after the tragic assassination of one of their volunteers, former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman, they didn't know what to do.
It's been 2 months, but we're still not really over it.
Executive Director Elisa Golob says they were overwhelmed by the amount of donations that came in after the murder of Melissa, her husband Mark, and their dog Gilbert.
It is transformative for us.
They came up with an idea, and with the blessing of the Hortmans' 2 adult children, they started the Hortman Heroes Fund.
Oh, what is that?
A fund that will pay for more service dogs to help veterans and first responders who are struggling with PTSD.
I mean, it's going to save lives.
Brian Bergson, an Army veteran of 23 years, received his first dog nearly 10 years ago.
I came home from Afghanistan and I struggled. And I went through a lot of isolation.
Bergson says the program changed his life, and being a longtime friend of Melissa Hortman, he says this new memorial fund is a great way to honor her legacy.
By helping other people, and I think she'd be really happy about that.
With the funding they have right now, they will be able to train about 6 to 7 service dogs like Callie here, with the hopes of having more dogs trained down the road.
What a good girl.
Right now, there is a 3-year waiting list for service dogs, but with this new fund, they're hoping to get more dogs out into the community faster, to the people who need them the most.
Aside from having Melissa and Mark and Gilbert back, I don't know what else you could do that would be a better honor to them.
Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
Oh, what a sweet mission that is. Well, this Thursday marks not only the opening of the Minnesota State Fair, but it is also a significant anniversary in Minnesota music history. 60 years ago, the Beatles played their one and only concert in the Twin Cities. 10 years ago, on the 50th anniversary, Boyd Hooper talked to some people who were there, one of them alone with the Beatles for 8 hours. Tonight, a look back and an update.
On August 21st, 1965, the Beatles landed in the Twin Cities.
I can tell people their stories, and I know they think I'm lying.
Ray Crump has, beneath the jockstraps of the '65 Minnesota Twins, the proof.
I didn't know who they were, I'll be truthful with you. And if I said I did, I'd be a liar.
Ray was the Twins equipment manager who spent 8 hours preceding Metropolitan Stadium's most famous concert in the home clubhouse with 4 British visitors.
They asked me this question, where's Killebrew's locker room? That's all they knew was Killebrew. They have never taken a sauna in their lives. They've never seen a sauna. So do you want to go in the sauna? They said, yes, we want to go in the sauna. So they went into the sauna.
That very day, a 12-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy would have given anything to be Ray.
Some 3,000 screaming teenagers greeted the Beatles when they landed at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport.
Helene and Jimmy Pessis both had tickets for the date.
It was August 21st.
Though they wouldn't date each other for 3 more years.
Here's the proof that Paul was Helene's favorite. She drew a heart with an arrow to Paul. I don't remember any pictures of me like that with a heart and an arrow.
50 years.
Well, I remember the intensity of just the Beatles themselves. I mean, first of all, they were adorable, and it was the first boy band.
All of which was lost on Ray.
See, each Beatle would take a picture of me with the other Beatles. This is Ringo Starr and I. George Harrison spent 8 hours playing the guitar. Then you got Paul McCartney. And people tell me, how many people have been in the bed with John Lennon? Get up as close as I could get.
Ray was just off the platform.
And I took these pictures.
When the Beatles were asked at their pre-concert press conference if it was hard to sleep with all that hair.
Well, when you sleep, you don't notice.
One reporter described them as cocky.
How do you sleep with your arms and your legs still attached? It's the same.
But their target audience ate it up.
After 8:30 p.m., all heaven broke loose. That's funny. When Ringo Starr, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon came out of the Twins' dugout and strolled toward the stage that was set up over second base.
30,000 fans erupted, one of which held up a tape recorder gathering the Met Stadium concert's only known audio.
They're tuning up.
A treasure for collectors like Rick Anderson.
The first song, it's Paul singing She's a Woman.
You could hardly see them, and there wasn't a sound system like there is now. So, you know, you just kind of knew you were there and you were part of the experience.
We'd like to do a slow song now, especially for that airplane. And you can hear the roar going over.
The 150 or so ushers armed with smelling salts braced themselves. People did faint.
I still have the plates and cups that they ate on.
But Ray Crump also paid a price for having been seen with Ringo Starr's arm around his shoulder.
And this girl comes up and she rips my shirt right off of me. She ripped it, just tore it apart because he touched that shirt.
The rest is legend.
This is pretty risque.
A curfew enforced, girls chased from hotel rooms, and an infamous statement from Minneapolis police.
One of their group with a British accent told me that they would never come back to Minneapolis, and I remarked to him that if they did not come, it would be too soon for me.
And they never did.
That was the last trip to Minneapolis in '65, and then they quit touring in 1966. And never really played live again.
Does it seem like 50 years?
No. 50 years is going fast.
No, doesn't seem like 50 years. No, where has time gone?
Seems like yesterday.
It was the biggest thing there was.
Wow, what a story. That was 10 years ago. Now the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' Met Stadium concert is just 2 days away. And speaking of anniversaries, yesterday Jimmy and Helene celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Oh, what a sweet couple. They recently semi-retired, selling their Continental Diamond to their niece and nephew. They still love the Beatles and will be at US Bank Stadium when Paul McCartney plays there in October. And then Ray Crump, we have to let you know he passed away in 2017, still treasuring those 8 memorable hours he spent with John, Paul, George, and Ringo. There's still some more news and weather. Stay with us.